Hey, good morning, everybody. I figured I'd do my review on the much anticipated Happy Gilmore 2, which comes nearly 30 years after the events of the first, Happy Gilmore, in which, Adam Sandler plays, the character Happy Gilmore. And of course, for those that may or may not be familiar with the first Happy Gilmore movie, Adam Sandler plays the Happy Gilmore character. In the events of the first one, he ended up entering a golf tournament, um, to save his grandmother's, you know, home from being foreclosed from the IRS after she owed $270,000 in back taxes. And basically, the events of the sequel take place nearly 30 years later. It shows, Happy Gilmore in a different place in his life. He has like four boys and a daughter, and if his life ends up unraveling when, during a golf tournament, he accidentally, kills his wife, Virginia, when his known crazy swing, which the ball can go like over 400 feet high, accidentally hits her in the head and kills her. And of course, that Happy kind of feels like the sport that he loved, and also brought him the wife that he cared about deeply, was like a tragic reminder for him. So he kind of like gives up golfing, and becomes like very drunk and depressed, and feeling like he has no purpose in life. And then you know he ends up getting another chance to redeem himself, and as a way of helping him get over his wife's death. And it also brings back his former rival, Shooter, from the first film, who was committed to a mental hospital, but after having a nervous breakdown after the events of the first film. So it's kind of interesting to see how the two former rivals become like allies now. And in terms of what I thought about the sequel, I mean, I will admit I was rather anticipating it, but I will say I found it a little too, I guess, depressing, and not as funny as the first one. Maybe others may beg to differ, and of course, for many people who may or may not have known, Carl Weathers, who played Happy's mentor Chubbs in the original movie, was supposed to have a part in the movie until unfortunately Carl's Weathers uh, passing, unfortunately affected those plans. So, in terms of what I thought about the sequel, I would have to say the first one was overall better, because I mean it had, it was more of an original premise, whereas the sequel kind of felt like a tired rehash that should have happened, much earlier. And it kind of reminds you a little bit. It was trying to be like another version of Rocky Balboa, which Rocky, in that case Rocky, was coming out of boxing retirement, to kind of make a comeback of sorts, which I think that's what the Happy Gilmore sequel was trying to do. But to me, I just found it a little too dark. Like I said, a little too dark and depressing, and just not funny enough. But that's me. All right, everyone, take it easy, and look forward to being back soon with more content again. Until the next time.